in the history of the Nets franchise. I would like to welcome all of those watching on the Yes Network, BrooklynNets.com stream, the fans watching on the Plaza on the Oculus, our radio partners, WFAN, represented by Joe and Evan this afternoon, our Spanish radio partners, Wado, and all those watching internationally, including Russia and China. On the stage, Nets General Manager Billy King, Nets head coach Jason Kidd, and our newest Nets, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry. Andre Karolinko was unable to attend due to personal obligations overseas. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge several people in our audience. Dmitry Razumov, the CEO of the Nexum Group, who is here. Brett Yormark, CEO of the Nets and Barclays Center. Bruce Ratner, the Executive Chairman of FCRC. Marty Markowitz, Brooklyn Borough President. The families of our special guests, Brandy Garnett and family, Julie Pierce and family, and the wife of our general manager, Melanie King. Thank you. All the sponsors and season ticket holders in attendance, thank you for coming. And the winner of our CEO contest, David Schwartz, and guests. Today's format, opening remarks by our general manager, Billy King. We'll then have a Q&A, break for photos, and then breakouts. For all those asking questions, and we encourage the questions, please wait for the microphones. Please identify your name and affiliation for all of those watching on Yes and also on the stream. We have two people who have microphones, Bryn and Kayla. Just raise your hands and they will get you the microphones. At this time, please let me introduce the Nets General Manager, Billy King. Billy?
Thanks, Gary. To me, this is a great day for Brooklyn, for the organization, and for basketball. I think when you are building a team, if you can add players, you want to add players with a championship pedigree. The three players here, all champions, and sitting in the back and just talking to them, what they bring is not just basketball. They'll bring knowledge, they'll bring experience, they'll bring competitiveness, they'll bring toughness. But the best thing I think they're going to bring is their families and their friends to make this basketball organization a better one. I've watched Kevin play for a long time, and the examples that he set on the court and off the court is one that I think every team would want somebody to do that. You know, Paul has made big shots against us when I was in Philadelphia or in Brooklyn, and he's won big games for Boston. And the Jet's been the premier sixth man. He's known how to score off the bench. He's played with Jason. But the biggest thing I think for us as an organization now, I think we've got pieces now that we can compete for a championship, and that's our goal. I'm not going to talk much longer because I'd rather have these guys talk, but it is a great day, and I'm happy to be able to introduce Kevin, Paul, and Jason to the fans of Brooklyn.
We'll now open it up for Q&A. Please raise your hand, and we will get to as many people as possible.
Sarah Kustok with the Yes Network. This question is for Kevin, Paul, and Jason. Guys, a lot of discussion about this since the news broke on draft night, but now that you're sitting here in your new home in Brooklyn, what goes through your mind and how do you feel?
You know, it's tough when you've been in a situation like me 15 years and, you know, you come to an organization as a Brooklyn Nets, but, you know, when you look at what they're trying to do here, win a championship, bring in the pieces necessary, new arena, new owners, new excitement. It really brings a little bit of excitement. Obviously, I would have loved to end my career in Boston, but, you know, that day and age is probably over with a lot of players ending their careers in one city. And, you know, when the trade happened, you felt excited, especially with Kevin and Jason coming along, gonna make the situation, not only for me, but for each other, a little more comfortable. And ultimate drive is winning a championship. Obviously, Boston is going in a different direction, and at this point in our careers, you know, we're championship driven. We've made a lot of money in our careers. We've won a number of awards, and I think at this point right now, we're all about winning a championship, and Brooklyn, we feel, gives us the best opportunity.
What's up, Brooklyn? Yeah. No, I'm cool. Don't. No, it's very similar to what Paul said. I think he summed it up. So it's unfortunate that we had to obviously move, from Boston, and, but I feel like both sides are going in different directions. I think for me, one of the major reasons I decided to come here was because the bones of this. I feel like adding, what you see up here with the bones of what they have already with, Brooke and Darren and all the pieces they have here, Joe. I feel like Paul says, gives us the best option to win again and to win it all. I'm embracing this opportunity. My family's embracing this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. All right.
I'm just blessed, very honored to be here, obviously with another opportunity to compete for a championship. Played with Jason. I know he's going to do an outstanding job as a coach because he was already coaching his entire life, basically as a point guard. So I know we're going to be going in the right direction from day one. To be able to take another journey with these two outstanding gentlemen right here next to me is just an honor. I've been in Atlanta, Dallas, Boston, and now to be able to call Brooklyn my home, again, I'm just very blessed and honored and ready.
Hey, Kevin, Stephen Bondi with the New York Daily News over here.
Yep.
You sort of answered this already, but you obviously had the no trade clause. Were there any reservations about waiving that, and what was the determining factor there?
Paul touched on this a little bit. Obviously, having Jet and having Paul with me was a really big issue. Obviously, you want to be in a position where you're comfortable. I don't know anyone that loves change, but change has to happen for things to better. I believe that. And when I sat down and let the dust sort of settle, got all the facts of what it is, I did that's when I made my decision on all the options and what I was going to do. Sat with my family, took my time, and didn't rush. Actually wanted to sit and just see how I felt about the whole thing of leaving Boston, change, retirement, how long you want to play, desire, and then made my decision on with a clear mind and with a clear head on what I wanted to do. And once I did that, here we are.
Guys, this is Tim Bondage from the New York Post. You all mentioned winning championship is the goal here. With the moves bringing you guys in, adding Andre Kirilenko and the other moves that have been made this summer, where do you see you guys stacking up in the Eastern Conference as we speak?
I think we're going to be right up there with the best of them. I mean, right now, you talk about Miami. Obviously, they're the champs. You look at what Chicago's doing, Indiana. And then I think you really got to take a close look at what we've been able to put together. When you put this type of talent on the floor, in order for it to come together, for us to be one of those top teams, that's what's got to happen. And I think, with me, Kevin, and Jet, along with Jason, we don't have any egos. We want to be one of those teams. And we feel like with the talent we got, we definitely are going to compete in the Eastern Conference and hopefully a championship.
Otis Livingston, CBS 2. Obviously, all the talk is about winning a championship, winning the Eastern Conference, but of course, a lot of people around here just want to know how you guys stack up against the Knicks. You got to win New York first. As you look at the team right now, as presently constituted, how do you guys stack up against the Knicks? Starting with Jason Kidd.
Shots fired.
Should I revoke his press credential, Jason? Or?
I thought this was for the players only. But you know, I think you know we're talking about a championship, and so no matter if it's Miami, Chicago, Indiana, it's New York too. It is a nice rivalry here between the two of us, and hopefully we can get the better of them this year. But the big picture is that championship trophy, and that's what we're all up here, and that's what we stand for. And so, the side is that rivalry, and hopefully we can win more games. We tied last year, so the big thing is just to win that rivalry. But the gold trophy is what we're here for.
Anybody else want to take that?
Nah.
Okay. Let's move on then. Brian?
Brian Mahoney from the Associated Press. You'll get that question again down the line. Don't worry about it.
It's all good.
Paul, for you, how long did it take to kind of get excited about this? Obviously, we know Kevin had some say about his future with the no trade. You didn't, and you've been in Boston longer. Was it hard to kind of get used to this idea, or are you used to it yet that you're moving on?
It hasn't really sunk in. I think it's really starting to sink in as we speak. Just being in this arena. I saw my jersey up in the locker room, and it's like, you saw the trade, and it was like, okay, there's a trade. But for me to actually be here now, looking for a place to live, being in this arena, trying to get to know my way around the city, it's really starting to sink in now that it's become real. I'm no longer a Boston Celtic. I'm a Brooklyn Net, and that's what it is right now. I mean, it's business. And at some point, we all have to move on. And I'm here to try to create some kind of legacy here in Brooklyn.
Ben?
Ben Couch, BrooklynNets.com. This is for the three players. You guys all mentioned the championship potential of the situation you're coming to. What makes you feel you can slot in alongside the roster, and why that exists?
I didn't hear the question. Right. Say that again.
You guys all talked about the championship potential of this situation that you're coming to. How does the roster setup make you feel that that's possible with the games you're bringing to the team?
Well, you not only can look at the names, but you got to look at what everybody brings. You got to look at the ability of the players. And when I look at that, I feel like we all kind of complement one another. I mean, you understand what Kevin brings. He brings a defensive intensity, a know-how to win, a focus, a leadership. And you put him on the side of a Brook Lopez who's still learning the game, who's one of the best centers in the NBA, who's trying to get to Kevin's level. In that sense alone, it helps the team. Me having experience being in the league 15 years, being next to Darren or Joe or some of the younger guys, just sharing my experience and what it took for us to win. And I think we understand sacrifice, and we feel like the guys that are here, Darren, Brooke, we want them to continue to be them. We want them to continue to be all-stars, possibly even MVP candidates. We're here to help them. We're here to help each other to get that ultimate goal. And, as the players we are, we feel like we have no choice but to make this work. So we're going to figure it out and make it work.
No sir, man. No sir.
Andrew?
Guys over here, Andrew Rosario, what's the 411 TV? Both of you guys are a little up there in age. How do you envision
How old are you,
minutes?
sir?
35. I
How
have
old
a
are
long
you?
life to live. What are you talking about?
We're not going to do
There's
that.
50-year-olds and 60-year-olds in the
But they're not playing basketball.
How can I be getting up there in age?
No, how do you envision your minutes going through the season?
Our who?
Minutes.
Minutes?
Minutes, yeah.
You got to talk to the guy to the right of
Right.
us.
All right, Jason. How do you envision handling their minutes throughout the season to make sure that they're fresh come the end of the season?
The best example is I just sat in that seat for these young guys. Being able to keep their minutes down, understanding the big picture, but also at the same time, our job is to win ball games during the season, but to keep their minutes down. And I think, Billy has put together a roster that is deep, that, these guys don't have to play, 35 to 38 minutes a night. So that's a talent that's the depth that we have as a team. So my job is to watch the clock and keep these guys minutes down. And in doing that, maybe they won't play one night. But we'll talk about that as the summer goes on. But the bigger picture is for these guys to be healthy going into the playoffs.
Tom Kolker, BrooklynNets.com. Jason, can you talk about your time in Dallas with Jason and how that developed your relationship with him, and then when you first found out that you were coming to Brooklyn, the idea of him being your coach?
Well, those were some of the best years of my career, obviously, in Dallas, ending up and winning a championship. Playing alongside Jason was a dream come true. The best point guard to ever play the game, in my eyes. And the entire time, again, he was coaching. If there was a play that needed to be drawn up, he would do it. If there was a practice that needed to be ran, he would be the guy out there making sure all the guys practiced when they didn't want to. He was phenomenal. And that's why I believe this transition for him is going to be as smooth as any because he's been doing it his whole career. And so, again, I'm honored, I'm privileged to again, be in a situation where I'm playing for a guy that understands me, he understands my game, and so the chemistry is there.
Howard?
Howard Beck from the New York Times, over here. For Kevin and for Paul, as soon as a trade like this is made and everyone looks at the lineup and sees 5 guys who have made all-star teams, the chemistry questions come up right away. You two have been through this, obviously, before when the 3 of you came together in Boston. Is there a similarity and there are lessons from there that you guys can then kind of impart to the guys you're joining here in terms of trying to create that same dynamic?
We was talking about this in the back when we first arrived here, is that, especially for Paul and I, this is like mirror images. You see the talent that's already here, you see us coming into it. Now it's about how well we gel, everybody understanding one another, learning each other's games, et cetera, et cetera. I felt like the difference in, obviously, the years that we spent in Boston and when we won versus when we didn't was just how we dealt with each other and how we communicated with each other. As crazy as it sounds, those sound like small things, but those are little things that make up a nice when you're down and you come back and you make a run. When one guy is, not on, so many different situations come in, but at the end of the day, you have to communicate, obviously. These are the things that we took away from that situation in Boston. You have to communicate, you have to be able to understand each other, and it's about how well you gel at the end of the day. That's going to be the biggest question mark for this team. How well are we able to gel, and how quickly are we able to gel?
I think he summed it up. Obviously the talent is there. I think you got all the ingredients for a championship team. It's just how well we put the seasoning salt in and the pepper and all the little spices together on how well it's going to come all out, because we got all the ingredients. So, and I think that's our job as veterans and the younger guys, to come together, understand the bigger picture, and figure out how to make it work. And you have a high basketball IQ, not only on the staff but on the court, that the great players somehow always figure it out, and I think we will.
Greg Dickerson, Comcast Sportsnet. Paul, for you, did this settle in at any point in time, the trade? Were you settled? Were you ready for this? Were you ready for a new scenario?
You sort of kind of felt it coming. I think the writing was on the wall, especially when you saw what was going on all summer with Doc Rivers. You figured, if Doc was going to be leaving, then you figured this was going to probably be the end of the era of me, Kevin, and Rondo together, and Jason, obviously. And so, those were the little signs. And, from that, I kind of mentally prepared myself for it, for a move on. It's difficult. You've been in one place your whole life, live 5 minutes from the practice facility. Now you got to make an adjustment, hour drive to practice, probably 2-hour drive to the game. I mean, it's definitely going to be a huge adjustment. It's sinking in, and I'm liking what I feel right now.
Back.
John Torrenley, Brooklyn Daily Eagle. First of all, welcome to Brooklyn, guys. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
I guess the thing that I would ask is, since you guys have competed at such a high level for such a long time and won NBA championships and gone to NBA finals, other than sheer talent, what's the one delineating factor, if you could point to one, that makes a difference between a team that actually can win a championship and those that wind up never winning?
What you end up giving up, sacrifice. In order for this thing to work, everybody's going to have to sacrifice their own games. Defense is going to have to be a priority, and you're going to have to do some things that you don't necessarily want to do or are uncomfortable doing. To me, those are the things that have been the difference in winning teams and teams that have not won. You coming in and you're used to getting 25, 20 shots. Can you come in and still, give to the team with 12 or less than shots, or, maybe defense isn't your thing. Can you put forth an effort and, play team defense? These are the things, to me, that I've seen or that I've noticed throughout the years of playing that are the difference between winning and losing.
Okay, we have time for just a couple more questions right here in front.
TheGoldbergReport.com. I just want to ask Billy King, in that infamous game at Christmas time last year with Boston, did you ever envision these two guys playing for the Nets?
That day?
Yeah.
No. After that beating, no, I didn't think about them playing. I was thinking it could start over. But, whenever you're in a position I am, you always look and you wonder at times, will they ever move guys? And you make calls. And I think at different times I'd had conversation with Danny. Would he move these guys? And he said no. And I think if you're persistent and you keep doing it, but you knew what they bring to the table. And so, to me, it's a great day. That was a bad day. Today makes up for it tremendously.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your participation. Before we break for formal photos and then our breakouts, one last business. I have one more guest to introduce, just arrived. Wanted to say hello to the newest members of the Brooklyn Nets. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now we will have photos. We'll then have breakouts. Everybody has their respective chairs. Please, let's have some order to the chaos.
So, a surprise guest right at the end of this press conference, majority owner Mikhail Prokhorov making the trip in to greet Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, the three newest members of the Brooklyn Nets. Andrei Kirilenko unable to attend this press conference, dealing with a personal matter. Kirilenko will be part of the mix, and a big part of it at that. Jimmy, a couple of takeaways from what we just heard. I think first and foremost, the headline for me, when they talked about the lack of egos at this stage of their respective careers, it's a singular goal to win a championship, and the chemistry that it takes to do that. You've got three guys who have that kind of experience.
I agree with you 100%, and that was one of the things that I picked out from both Pierce and Garnett in particular. And I think you have to go back to Jason Kidd to begin with on that, Ian. Who's a guy who checked his ego at the door more than Jason Kidd over the course of his career? There's probably nobody in the league while Jason Kidd played that was that unselfish and checked his ego at the door to make his teammates better. Now all of a sudden you have three guys not stating what Jason Kidd said. They said it before Kidd, and they think the same exact way. And I just think there is that concept of checking your ego at the door, whether it's in a business situation, whether it's in an athletic situation, pro sports. If guys can learn that concept of checking your ego at the door, then everything else becomes second nature in terms of team effort.
And Jimmy, let's take a look at the business side of this as well. This deal does not happen without that man right in the middle, and that's Mikhail Prokhorov, accepting the idea that they're going to go over the threshold. Luxury tax is going to be steep, but opening up the window to go for a championship. He's talked about winning a championship. That has been at the top of the list of everything that he said since buying this team. And look, you put your money where your mouth is. In Mikhail Prokhorov's case, he's done that.
And when he showed up just then, it relit that thought in my mind. And I'm thinking here saying, the owner shows up, which is a great splash at the end of the press conference. It's a perfect timing, I think, in terms of giving the players their due, not stealing the thunder from them. But then I started to immediately think he was talking about a championship when he became the owner of this team. And I started to think to myself, he's got a shot at pulling this off in a short period of time.
And Jimmy, think about it. This is not that far removed from a 12-70 season where an owner who's new to the league steps in and makes a bold statement.
Right.
The reaction around the league had been, oh, come on.
Right.
How are you going to do that?
Exactly.
Your team's 12-70. Well, this team has taken a